The Forsyth Tavern, built in 1805, its white clappered walls have weathered centuries of storms and silence. Nestled in Cambria, New York, this historic farm still breathes with life. Sheep graze the pastures, chickens wander freely across the grounds. Yet as day fades into night, whispers echo through the timbers. The past refuses to rest. Tonight, the team from Paranormal Crossroads steps into its shadowed embrace. Armed with cameras, recorders, and unyielding resolve, they seek the truth behind the claims of lingering spirits. The tavern once roared with laughter, drink, and song. Now it hums with footsteps unseen, voices without form, and a chill that brushes against the living. Within these walls, history is not only remembered, it is felt. And as the team begins their investigation, one question looms heavy in the air. Who or what still calls the Forsyth Tavern home? Nestled in the quiet countryside of New York stands the Forsyth Tavern, a historic structure built in 1805. Originally constructed as a tavern where people would stop and gathering place for weary travelers, the tavern quickly became an essential hub for the local community. Its sturdy timber frame, hand-hewn beams, and limestone foundation have withstood the test of centuries, holding within them stories of both triumph and tragedy. Soon after the US declared war on Great Britain, June 1812, military tensions in the Niagara frontier escalated, a witness to war and turmoil. During the War of 1812, the Forsyth Tavern stood as a silent witness to conflict. Soldiers and militiamen are said to have passed through its doors. The tavern provided shelter in desperate times, but it also bore the weight of wartime sorrow, leaving behind an imprint of anguish that time has never erased. Though admired as a state of New York historic site, the Forsyth Tavern is shrouded in unsettling legend. For generations, locals have whispered of its haunting, of ghosts and shadow figures that drift silently across the property. Visitors claim to see apparitions pass out of the corner of their eyes, with spiritual voices that echoes in their ears, shadowy silhouettes lingering in the candlelit rooms, and an overwhelming sense of being watched when standing on the tavern's creaking floorboards. In 2017, Tyler Booth purchased the 1805 Forsyth Tavern barn and the surrounding land. When Tyler first turned the key in the weathered door of the Forsyth Tavern, dust billowed into the air like breath from a sleeping giant. The tavern had been vacant for more than a decade, its windows boarded, its beams sagging, its history waiting in silence. Most would have walked away. The ceilings leaked, the paint peeled, and every corner whispered of abandonment. But Tyler didn't see a ruin. He saw possibility. To him, the Forsyth Tavern wasn't just an old building, it was a forgotten chapter of America's story. He imagined it filled with voices again, the scrape of chairs on wooden floors, the glow of candles, and the smell of hearth fire. A living history museum where the past could breathe once more. For years, he poured himself into the work. He scraped, painted, and restored by hand, often alone by lantern light. He read old accounts of the War of 1812, of how soldiers once stopped at the tavern, how families took shelter within its walls during the British raids. He collected artifacts, pewter mugs, lanterns, and hand-hewn tools, each piece reclaiming its rightful place within the rooms. It wasn't easy, money was scarce, and townsfolk sometimes shook their heads at his fool's errand. Still, Tyler pressed on. He wasn't just restoring a building, he was resurrecting memory. Tyler stood at the tavern's porch one autumn evening, lantern in hand, as visitors departed down the gravel path. Behind him, the tavern's white clapboard walls glowed in the fading light. He smiled, knowing that the building was no longer just his dream. It had become a vessel of memory, a bridge between the living and the past. Tyler had grown used to the old tavern's creaks and sighs at night. The Forsyth Warren place was full of history, its wooden beams whispering with age. One night, Tyler retired for the night and headed off to bed. As he lay in bed beneath the plaster ceiling, he woke to a sound that was different. Then, drip, drip, drip. At first, Tyler thought it was the leaky roof again. The autumn rains had been steady all week. Tyler rolled onto his back, staring up into the darkness. That's when the next drop fell, warm against his forehead. He froze. Tyler wiped his face with his hand and discovered it was blood dripping from the ceiling. Tyler described blood seeping slowly downward from the ceiling on his face, waking him up in shock and in disbelief. Whether a manifestation of wartime memory or something more sinister, the phenomenon has become one of the tavern's most terrifying hallmarks. Paranormal Crossroads research team arrived at dusk, their equipment by their side. EMF detectors, thermal cameras, voice recorders, and night vision cameras. The air felt heavy as they crossed the threshold, the wood creaking beneath their boots. The low light that shined down from the tavern chandelier lit the tavern's walls, tables and chairs. The medium, PJ, stepped forward. He didn't need gear to sense what lingered there. His eyes grew distant, as if he were listening to whispers only he could hear. PJ spoke. "They're watching us," he said quietly, his voice edged with unease. "Not one, not two, but many. Spirits crowd this place. They know why we're here." The night air was heavy and humid. Andrea and Joe lead the team into the first floor of the Forsyth Tavern. The old wooden planks beneath their boots creaked like whispers of a past long gone, and the faint smell of candle wax mixed with dust and time. Their equipment hummed faintly, recorders, EMF meters, and a night vision camera clutched tightly in their hands. Andrea moved with deliberate steps, her senses tuned like an instrument to the unseen. She could feel the energy in the room. Her fingers hovered above the recorder, ready to capture the voices of those who refused to leave. As they advanced deeper into the dimly lit cellar of the tavern, a loud noise echoed from the far end, a crashing of something metallic. Joe instantly aimed the camera in the direction of the loud crashing sound. The team investigated and found nothing out of place. Andrea's voice, calm yet electric with tension, cut through the silence. "If there's anyone here with us, can you tell us your name?" Just a scratchy voice came through on the recording. Then the team formed a loose circle, the flicker of their small LED lights casting long, dancing shadows on the walls, scanning the corners of the room. Our hearts pounded as Joe raised the voice recorder so there wouldn't be interference. With the digital recorder in his palm, speaking firmly into the emptiness. "Is there an afterlife? Yes or no?" Seconds ticked by. With one press of a button, the response played back was startling, unnerving, and angry. It brought chills to the team. In a firm, crackling voice, it said, "Stop asking me that question." The Paranormal Crossroads research team captured a startling EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. The voice did not whisper. It snapped back, harsh, violent. The investigators froze, shaken by the chilling response. What was meant to be a routine spirit communication quickly turned into something far darker, forcing them to question whether they had uncovered a lost soul or awakened something that should have remained buried. We packed our gear in silence, not out of fear but out of respect. Each of us knew we had experienced something rare, something beyond explanation. Haunted it may be, the tavern has left us with more than chills. It has given us stories, friendship, and the honor of standing side by side with Joe, Andrea, PJ, and Tyler. The Forsyth Tavern lived up to its legend, and the spirits that roamed within its walls have the attention of the living. The direct responses to our question of the afterlife in the cellar opens up a new respect for the research that we do. We left with more than just evidence. We left with the knowledge that the tavern had chosen to reveal a part of its story to us, trusting us to carry it forward. The ghosts were not banished, nor did we seek to drive them out. They remained bound to their history, but no longer silent.